the screen here, making sure we're going good here. I got 80 million people in the arena already waiting for me in their seats. Pulling up my own stream here. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Saturday night edition of the Weekly Narrative. You might notice I am solo today. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay because I figured out how to run stereo solo. So I'm also on stereo by myself right now. What's up, Osis? We got Synergy in chat. Dave as well. What's going on, guys? Nope, we did not get banned yet, Dave. Knock on wood. On time and under budget, says Synergy. Hey, yeah, you know what? We had some last-minute adjustments we had to make here. And probably something is still not set, so my mic's not coming through or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But Delaney couldn't make it today. She had a little thing she had to take care of with her dog. So she is going to go take care of that, which is fine because we know we've done like 60 podcasts together, and missing one is... That's my threshold. Okay, if she misses another one, she's fired. I'll let her miss one. That's fine. What's up, Holly? Welcome to the chat. Stalking Horse. What's going on, guys? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Grab a seat. I see the arena filling up. We got a lot of seats open in Section G back there. Let's fill that in. I don't have to want to look at blank spots in my vision. We got a good show for you tonight. I finally got some content. I don't say that every time. Okay, I don't just say I got a great show every single time because it's not true every single time. Like last week's wasn't that great. Okay, Tuesdays, I was sick. I'm still a little sick, but I'm recovering. You might be able to tell a little bit from my voice. It's a little rough, but we're gonna do this, and we got some very interesting stories to share with you today. As you can tell from the title of the stream, we're gonna be talking about Twitter facing its own round of censorship. How the turntables have turned. It's an office joke. I am not stupid. We're going to be talking about the outdoors and how the outdoors are racist. This is one of my favorites. I see this story pop up once every couple months, but yes, no, you heard that right. The outdoors are racist. Now, here's the question. Are you supposed to say the outdoors are racist or the outdoors is racist? Is the outdoors a singular thing, or is it outdoors as in it's multiple? I don't know. We'll get into it, and among other topics. And we're going to be talking about, I think we got a story on abortion, so we got to throw an abortion story in here. Somebody gave a graduation speech. As you guys know, graduation season is here, and some stunning and brave woman decided to switch up the speech that she was going to give in favor of a pro-abortion speech. We're going to go over that and the... not hypocrisy, but the stupidity. We're going to point out some stupidities with that, because you guys know I love the abortion argument. I really do love the abortion thing. I think it's the dumbest discussion in politics and culture today. And we're going to get to a Yale lecturer who wants to talk about murdering whites. We got an audio recording of her talking about how she wants to shoot whites and all this other stuff. It's pretty awesome. Because I'm white, what I do identify as black, so it doesn't apply to me. We'll get into that and more. Let's jump into it with that awesome intro. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Weekly Narrative. For those of you just joining, yes, I am solo tonight, like the good old days. Delaney had some stuff to take care of, and she will not make it tonight, which is totally fine. But you can jump on the stereo, and you can be my co-pilot. You can assist me if you have anything you want to say. We are dual streaming still on stereo and YouTube, so feel free to hop on there and leave me a nasty hate comment or question. Questions are cool too. And let's get into it. First story I want to talk about to you tonight. Actually, this one is not even one that I mentioned in the intro, but this is fascinating, and I wanted to bring this to your guys' attention. This is in regards to a shooting that happened, and the FBI is actually looking to subpoena USA Today, the website USA Today, to get information on people that browsed its website. Okay, so let me, as I pull this up here, let me switch over my windows. Here we go. FBI demands info on people who read a USA Today story about a shooting that killed 2 agents. So here's what happened. A shooting happened, 2 FBI agents were killed, and in the investigation that occurred as a result of that, the FBI is subpoenaing USA Today and requesting the IP addresses of people who visited the site to read that story. I just thought this was fascinating because I want to make sure you guys are aware of the technological implications of law enforcement in today's modern day and age. You know, we have to deal with this technology, and if you happen to have been reading USA Today, that story on that day, well, guess what? You're now, your information's in the hands of the FBI now. You could be under investigation for child porn. Rip Delaney's dog? No, she's going to be just fine, Synergy, I think. What's up, Anthony? Welcome to the chat. We got a guy in chat named Women's Rights Was a Mistake. My favorite YouTube username of all time. Arian, what's up, man? Welcome. Yeah, so this article, and this is why you got to be careful, because this article makes it sound a lot worse than it is, and this is also a lesson in reading the media. So when you read this article, it's from Mediaite. I don't know what Mediaite tilts in what direction. I think it's right-leaning, but they don't have any information in here about why they're subpoenaing for these or what the scope really is. So I could have just given you guys this story and said, oh my God, look at this gross abuse of power, but the FBI is subpoenaing. They're getting any information from anyone who read this article online at this on this day or whatever. But that's not the case. So let's just skim through this real quick. The FBI is demanding that USA Today provide the Bureau with information on readers who viewed a story about a fatal February shooting in Florida that killed 2 agents. The agency is asking the newspaper's publisher, Gannett, I'm going to go with Gannett, to provide information that includes IP addresses and, quote, telephone or instrument numbers, including serial numbers of readers who accused the story, or who accessed the story, during a 35-minute period after the shooting took place on February 3rd, according to a subpoena in the case. Okay, so they do actually have a scope of time frame in here, so, they don't fearmonger too much. The subpoena was filed in the United States District Court for the District of Columbia on April 2019, but wasn't made public until late May. So, what's really happening here is one of the suspects, now we don't know this much detail, but I'm guessing, one of the suspects made a public declaration that they were looking on this site for the story, or they were waiting for the story to come out about them. And they told somebody that they accessed this site between 8 o'clock and I think 8:35 that day. I actually read the subpoena, and that's what was in the subpoena. There's a specific 35-minute time frame. So they got a hold of that information, and now they're using that to subpoena USA Today to get the information of everybody who accessed that story between that time frame, a 35-minute time frame. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this a gross overreach of privacy? Is this like a rights violation? What do you think? Because one of the things that people don't really think about as they're using social media, using the internet, is what kind of tracks they're leaving, and how they can be tracked. So, yes, they do have the IP address information of you if you visited that site, but now I got to reiterate, in kind of the same manner where I debunked the Mike Lindell's election hacking video, they don't get very much information from you. In the subpoena, they said we want MAC addresses. You can't really access that over the internet. So if you're on a VPN, for example, you'd be okay because they would see a different IP address. This is the only time I've ever seen a public actual use case for having one of those stupid VPNs. You know, those ones that you see on like advertisements for every single YouTuber has, like, oh, today's sponsor, Surfshark, or whatever it is, or ExpressVPN. Nobody is doing anything 99.99% of the time that would ever warrant the use of one of those, but in this particular case, that would be a good time to use it. Let's see here. So, I just wanted to bring that to you guys' attention, because I thought that was cool. Let's move on to the abortion story here. I thought this was just just golden, because abortion stories are so easy to pick apart. And I'm not even going to actually pick it apart. I'm just going to ask some questions and let you guys pick it apart. Or for the listeners who may be pro-abortion, I'll ask some questions and let you decide. This is from dmagazine.com. It's the source I chose for this. It says, Lake Highlands High valedictorian pulls switcheroo on commencement speech. Probably the first time the word switcheroo has ever been used in the title of an article. Paxton Smith got one speech approved and then, surprise, read another about abortion's rights. And it's relevant because it's in Texas. And that's where I am now. So this is in response to Governor Abbott just passed an abortion bill. I think it was banning abortions as early as 6 weeks for no, as far as I'm aware, no other specifications on conditions. Like if you get raped, it doesn't matter. If it's 6 weeks or later, you cannot get an abortion. Before I jump into this, I heard a comment come in on stereo. Let me jump to that real quick. Someone named Angel Chavez. Okay, yeah, I have to agree with that. Paxton Smith, a valedictorian of Lake Highlands High School's class of 2021 with her 104 average, submitted her speech ahead of Sunday's commencement ceremony at the high school stadium. It was about the media and how much she consumes and how that consumption has shaped the way she sees the world. Oh, the irony. The irony. But another matter kept nagging at her. She couldn't stop thinking about the heartbeat bill that Governor Greg Abbott had just signed into law last month. The law prohibits abortions as early as 6 weeks before many women know they're pregnant, and it matters not if the pregnancy results from incest or rape. Abortions rights activists say it's the most restrictive law in the country. It will go into effect in September. Okay, so I mean that's a big deal, right? That's a pretty big law that's going to be going into action, and as they point out, it's one of the most restrictive in the country. So of course, some people are going to speak out about it. Dave says, "Slay Queen." Yeah. So stunning and brave. Oh, you know what? Actually, I forgot to crack open my Dr. Pepper with cream soda, 0 sugar here. Don't mind me. Holly says, well, she ain't wrong. You are what you consume. Exactly. Well, you're going to see the exact result of what you consume. And that word consume is the key word there in that, Holly, because consume implies that she's intaking information. She's not really processing it necessarily, and that's the key point with this whole abortion argument, which I will demonstrate for you shortly here. Because if you actually think about it, none of this stuff really makes any sense. So let's skip down to her actual address here. As we leave high school, we need to make our voices heard. I was going to get up here and talk to you about TV and the content and the media because those are the things that are very important to me. However, in light of recent events, it feels wrong to talk about anything but what is currently affecting me and millions of other women in this state. Recently, the heartbeat bill was passed in Texas. Starting in September, there will be a ban on abortions that take place after 6 weeks of pregnancy, regardless of whether the pregnancy was a result of rape or incest. 6 weeks. She reiterates that for emphasis because that time frame is apparently too long for you to know that you're pregnant, which is a little strange to me. She continues on to say, most women don't even realize they're pregnant by then. And so, before they have time to decide if they are emotionally, physically, and financially stable enough to carry out a full-term pregnancy, before they have the chance to decide if they can take on the responsibility of bringing another human into the world, the decision has been made for them by a stranger. A decision that will affect them the rest of their lives. Okay, so this is... there's even more here to it than when I originally read it, so this is going to be great. We can deconstruct this in multiple angles. Let's jump to the stereo comment real quick. Paul.
Apparently most women are fucking retarded.
Modern women. Yes, that's an apt assessment of modern women in 2021, Paul. Unfortunately, it's heartbreaking to see. Okay, first thing I want to point out here. Starting in September, regardless of whether the pregnancy was a result of rape or incest. This is you can model what I'm about to tell you and what I'm about to ask you. Any conversation you have about abortion should go something like this. So let's somebody presents this information to you. They say, "Oh, well, what about rape and incest?" Okay, so they bring that point up. So here's how you respond to that. what percentage of abortions are the result of rape or incest? How many abortions happen as a result of rape or incest? I mean, that's what they always bring up, right? This is the first thing she mentions in her grand argument in her graduation speech. The first and most pertinent point she brings up is rape or incest, and that is generally the case in most of the times you see this argument presented of pro-choice, as it were. So tell me, what percentage? Let me see in chat. Does anybody know in chat? Give me a percentage. How many abortions are due to rape or incest? I'll wait. In the words of Cat Williams. Dari says extremely low. Yes, that is accurate. Anthony says it's always the same arguments. Yeah, and that's the point that I was making about the irony that her original subject matter was about the media. Because where does she get these points? From the media. So she chooses to forego a speech about how the media is bad, and then instead share the indoctrination that she's experienced by the media. Oh man, I love this. This is so great. Holly says 1%. Gerber says 100%. Synergy says I'm betting between 1 and 25. So what is that for? 1 and 25. So what is that, 4% or less? Actually, Synergy, you're pretty much right on, buddy. So it's about 3 to 4% of all abortions are rape or incest. So first of all, if you did not know that and you're trying to make an argument for abortion, I've got bad news for you. You're not informed enough to have an educated opinion on this topic, and therefore your opinion has no value. So that's how the conversation should go if you're having this talk with any person in real life. It's like if you're arguing that abortion should be legal because of rape or incest, and you don't even know how many abortions are the result of rape or incest, you are not informed enough to be having a conversation on this topic. Same reason where if I was asking if you were telling me that I shouldn't put this particular engine in my car because it has a turbo as opposed to two additional cylinders, and the horsepower ratio is different, but you don't know anything about engines or turbos, you don't have the qualifications to have an opinion on that topic. Therefore, you can't participate in the conversation. So the source for that, by the way, is the Guttmacher Institute. This was something that I looked up quite a bit a long time ago. I think they have the most up-to-date information, and they look at all states. There were several studies done, and the data that they gathered showed that about 3 to 4% of all abortions are from rape or incest. So there's that. There's the first point. Now, their question on that before I move on to the second point: do we generally make policies based off of the vast exception? Vast exception meaning the vast minority. Do we make policies when something is 97% of the time? Yeah, generally, right? Or do we make policies off of something that happens 3% of the time? No, not really. If we did that, this society would be completely effed up. So why would we make policies based off of what she presents as her first highest level of argument, rape or incest, when that is only 3 to 4%? Isn't that strange that she also doesn't mention how many? They never mention how many of these are from rape or incest, because I think if they looked into it, they probably wouldn't want to perpetuate that argument anymore, because they'd realize, oh wait, 94% of all abortions are simply due to choice and not because of rape or incest or threat to the life of the parent. That's weird. Okay. So anyway, that's just wanted to point that out. Let's see. Caitlin says just 1% of women attain an abortion because they became pregnant through rape. Oh, there you go. And less than 0.5% do so because of incest. There you go. Boom. Caitlin, the research extraordinaire. I'm just going to make her like my secretary. You're now the secretary, Caitlin, because you pulled the numbers out. And they're even better than... See, now, that's how you guys know I'm not BSing you. Because the number that I gave you is actually higher, more conservative. I was giving leniency to the abortion argument. I wasn't trying to go as hard where I, give you a fake number in favor of my view. I gave them more, and I was wrong in their favor. So, there you go. 1% of women obtain an abortion because they became pregnant through rape, and less than 0.5% do so because of incest, according to the Guttmacher Institute. Boom! Anyway, enough said on that. I think we annihilated that point. Now the next point. 6 weeks. This is her argument. 6 weeks. Most women don't realize they're pregnant by then. So, I'm not a woman. I haven't decided to identify as one yet. I may, tomorrow or something like that, depending on how I feel. But if I get raped, and I know this isn't like a fun topic, but if you get raped, it's probably a good idea to do some testing before the 6-week mark. I'm just saying. I mean, in order to avoid something like this, or STDs, or whatever it may occur as a result of those rapes, you would think that there's some kind of testing that occurs before then. Most women don't even realize they're pregnant by then. Wait, are we still talking about the ones who got raped? Are we specifically still talking about the ones who got raped or incest? I'm pretty sure 6 weeks is plenty of time to do some testing. And there's other indicators before that, the cycles, menstrual cycles and stuff. I'm not educated, don't claim to be educated on that, although when I do identify as a woman, I do look forward to having my cycles. We got a comment that came in here from Paul.
So in this brave new world, do men have to get the plan B if they get raped? Asking for a friend.
Well, at least do it within 6 weeks, Paul, because you don't want to have to face the consequences of this abortion bill, I would say yes, definitely. For equality. So that's the second point, and that's just retarded. I mean, come on. 6 weeks, if you actually got raped, you would do testing within 6 weeks. So that argument doesn't make any sense. It's not even an argument. I mean, this is the level. This is the quality of college graduates that we're dealing with here, people. This is your future. This child right here is the future of America. And also the third and final point that I just came across as I was reading this. And so, before they have the time to decide if they are emotionally, physically, and financially stable enough to carry out a full-term pregnancy, before they have the chance to decide if they can take on the responsibility of bringing another human into the world, the decision has been made for them by strangers. So, at this point, I think we can just kind of let's just waive the idea that we're dealing with a rape or incest, because we've already acknowledged that that's a vast minority. You have plenty of time to test. You would know to test. Let's say that we're just talking about normal, the other 94%, okay, 95%. This is the result of people not having to deal with consequences in life. They don't understand consequences, and they also don't understand biology. They don't understand that sex, the purpose of it, is to procreate. So they think that they can just do this, and there's no risk, there's no consequences. We can see in various arenas across this society today where it's blatantly obvious that we have lost our ability to do risk management. Take COVID, for example. This is another perfect example of that. People think that they can just have sex and there are no risks involved, and that when they do, it's like, oh, well, I wasn't ready to have a child, which is the argument that she's making here. She knows. I mean, unless they stop doing sex ed or they don't do biology in school anymore, she knows that having sex is supposed to lead to having a child. That's the intended outcome. But she plays it off here as like, oh, no, I should just be able to do this and have no risk, no consequences. And that's generally the core of her argument here. So on all 3 points that she makes in this speech, as the valedictorian of this school, she makes herself look like an absolute idiot. By any standards of intelligence, she makes herself look like an absolute moron. Not to mention that these are the same exact 3 points that get repeated over and over and over again. You can tell there's no independent thought happening in this kid's brain. Okay, ironically, her original speech was about how TV and content in the media are like harmful or dangerous. She's clearly the product of the media. So this was, yeah, it looks like Holly was right. Synergy 1%. Yeah, we got exasperated fuel system versus fuel injection. Yep, good addition onto my engine comment there. Let's see. Close to 1 in 200 abortions is based on incest. Seems way too common. That figure I thought would be closer to 1 in 1,000. Gonna need a source on that figure. Close to 1 in 200 abortions. Yeah, so like I said, Arian, that's from the Guttmacher Institute, so you can go check that out. All those stats come from there. They know they were raped at that moment. Dari says, Plan B. Yeah, well, I mean, okay, Holly's got a great point here. Part of the rape kit involves STD testing and a pregnancy test. here at least. And she's referring to Canada because she's our Canadian correspondent. Yeah. So, I mean, does this make any sense, any logical sense in any rational world to anybody? The answer is no, it does not. So, but for some reason, CNN had the CNN was spraying this on their Twitter page for like 5 days in a row. And it just makes you wonder, like, why are we bringing up abortion again? Are we already done with COVID that much? Like, we need to bring up abortion? The same exact arguments, not to mention, about abortion. Boring. We got a comment here.
Oi, oi!
Oi, oi!
Your favourite British person back again.
What up?
I'm not sure about the timing of this message, but I did see those videos. For, the Yale lecturer wants to murder whites.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's the classic thing, isn't it? Like, if the roles were reversed, the white person would be not only thrown in prison, but probably given the death sentence. Like you know, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking
Oi.
mental. Yeah, we're on a bad path. There's just no denying it. And the quicker we all start waking up, the better. I love you, man, and keep up what you're doing. Love you.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, buddy. Love you too, man. But you got the best accent. Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people from England. Whatever yours is, tell me what that is because I got to know because that's the best. That's the best accent. Let's see. It's a retarded leftist talking point. 6 weeks. Yep. Well, you know what? Let's since he gave us the perfect segue into that, let's jump into that story because this one is also pretty fun. Again, dealing with modern women. It seems to be a recurring theme here on this channel. We talk about insanity, and it always somehow links back to femininity or modern women, or the lack of femininity, rather. There is no femininity in this world. They call themselves feminists, but they are not feminine at all. I seem to have lost my notes here. Let me pull those up. So a Yale lecturer gave a talk and was recorded on audio. So not just, somebody reporting from an unannounced anonymous source that she wants to shoot white people with a revolver, and talks about the psychopathy of the white mind and other just blatantly obviously racist things like that, which I thought was hilarious. But let's try to dig at this a little bit and figure out what's really going on here. And the interesting thing about this is initially you would think she's probably a white girl, but aside from that, you're thinking, okay, it's probably just another black person who hates white people lashing out. No, actually, she appears to be like Indian, which is a little strange to me. This is from thefederalist.com. Lecturer at official Yale event fantasizes about brutally murdering white people, claims all white people are rotten. Yeah, as our buddy, or one of our UK correspondents just reminded us, rather, if this was at all reversed and, somebody said black people are rotten or Jews are rotten, can you imagine the reaction? I mean, I hate using that as like an argument. Can you imagine? Or imagine if the roles are reversed. I'm so tired of that, but you have to acknowledge, I mean, this is pretty bad, right? Let's see. Oh, Paul's got a comment.
Rebranding suggestion: feminists, gynocrats, because gynocracy, it's what they want.
Oh, yeah,
Straight up.
gynocrats. I like that. Yeah, gynocrats. It goes perfectly with the gynocentric social order that we live in. Gynocrats. Man, I like that. Good job, Paul. See, this is what we do. We create new terms. We create new words right here. I'm going to use that. Gynocrats. Not feminists. Gynocrats. Yale University, one of America's most elite institutions, hosted a racist lecturer who expressed deep-seated animus against white people in an official lecture called "The Psychopathic Problem of the White Mind." Oh man, I don't know why I find that funny. It's just I think it's funny. Given by Aruna Kalinani at the Yale School of Medicine, because obviously this is directly related to American psychology and medicine. Oh, it's not just the School of Medicine, but the School of Medicine's Department of Child Study. Great, yeah, great. So these are going to be the psychologists who handle our white children. Perfect. Okay, Kalinani graphically described her fantasy about killing and burying white people, saying, quote, I had fantasies of unloading a revolver into the heads of any white person that got in my way, burying their body and wiping my bloody hands as I walked away, relatively guiltless, with a bounce in my step, like I did the world a effing favor. So it's not just... You guys thought, see, I was under promising with the lead up. I was telling you she just wanted to shoot white people in the head. But it wasn't just that. She wants to shoot them in the head, bury the body, wipe her bloody hands as she walks away, bouncing, and feeling guiltless. Okay, so under promise, over deliver. Boom. That's why you guys watch this stream. When the Federalist inquired about this comment, Kalinani responded saying, you are having a psychoanalyst talk about fantasy in relationship to writing. Everyone has fantasies, dreams, nightmares. Not being in contact with your unconscious is what causes problems. In order to fully understand what I'm saying, Yale would have to release the full video. Oh. So this is just... She doesn't actually mean any of it. This is actually just a fantasy. One of those things that you daydream about. But it's a little strange that you daydream about that, I gotta say. I have my own theory on why she did this. And, revolver, why not a semi-auto AR-47, says Anthony. Because she doesn't know what that is, dude. Come on, we know that. Dari says, pure hate. Yeah, no, that's pure hate. Let's see. Sounds stable, reasonable, and not racist at all. Well, once you understand that this is what psychoanalysts or psychologists are talking about, you understand why the APA is so completely jacked, okay? I'm not just sharing this story to give you an example of some crazy woman saying some random stuff about white people. This is underlying a huge problem that we're having right now with the APA, the American Psychological Association, who are not only adjusting the guidelines for mental illness, they're saying, oh, it's, gender dysphoria. So that's not a mental illness, but toxic masculinity, that's a real mental illness, and we have to treat that. Like, men are just out of control. This is what people in the APA think like, okay? This is not an anomaly. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Muzzle loader for her. She could never figure out how to use a muzzle loader. JC Steck says, hey, girl, call me. Come on over. I'll give you the first shot. You guys are savages. So this is in reaction to a Barry Weiss article. You guys know who Barry Weiss is, right? She was, I don't like her that much, but she's New York Times, or was a New York Times author. Anyway, she wrote an article about it on her Substack. She somehow got an audio an audio recording of her saying this. And the story has really two stories inside of it, because she, the Kalinani girl who says she wants to shoot white people, is upset that Barry got the recording before she did, and guess what she's blaming it on? Well, let's find out. Quote, Barry Weiss is using her platform to distort my message. Here's the real story. How did Substack get audio of my talk immediately after months of me trying to obtain a copy and have Yale release it? She continued. This perpetuates the suppression of voices of people of color. Of racism. It's racism again, guys. I would have loved to share my story first, but at the end of the day, it comes down to Barry Weiss and Linda Mays. But talking about how two white women have immediate access to my work with me being on the sideline of my content and my story is the real racism, right? So she found a way. You got to give her credit. She found a way to double down on the racism with the story because of the fact that Barry Weiss somehow got a recording of the audio. That is also racism. So the fact that she so quickly goes to racism as an explanation for that leads me to believe that she's probably not just fantasizing about shooting white people in the heads, okay? She probably actually wants to do that. And also, before I jump to this stereo chat that just came in from Paul, when does this, I feel like I could diagnose her with some kind of mental illness. Is this is like an obsessive compulsive thing? Is this what did you call Europhobia? That's what this is. See, we need to come up with a better word for this, guys. We need to fight the language wars the same way they're fighting them. We need to come up with a word, not racist, because racist, that doesn't, it's meaningless now. They've eliminated all meaning from the word racist. So we have to come up with a word that accurately describes the pathological relationship that they have with white people. Clearly, she hates white people, but also, there might be a little bit of fear involved in there. So I think, tentatively, I'm going to go with Europhobic, because she clearly is terrified of European people, and also hates them. Although I do acknowledge that phobias are not the hatred of something, they are the fear, and that these people who all claim to be college educated claim that phobias are the hatred. It's not the case. I think we'll roll with that, unless anyone's got a better suggestion. Holly asks, does that mean she wants to constitutionally carry? Well, I mean, if there's white people around, probably, yeah. I mean, these people have no principles. It all depends on what the immediate emotions are guiding them into. No principles at all. Nice, Anthony. I'm glad. Anglophobic? Okay. I like that. Anglophobic. Andy Appleseed says bigot. Well, see, bigot gets misused a lot too. They don't understand the word bigot and what the definition of bigot means. Bigot just means that you are closed off to the opinions of other people. It doesn't have anything to do with race or immutable characteristics or anything. Cockophobic. I like that one. Cockophobic. It's got a ring to it. Cockophobic. But I don't know. Europhobic? Well, I'll think about it. Let's go to Paul's chat.
Anyone who can give head can muzzle loud. Just saying.
We got a comment from Osis.
I've heard this argument made a lot of times that one of the reasons the left wants to get rid of guns is because they're psychotic, can't control their emotions, and they think everyone is like them and is likely to go and shoot up a bunch of people. A lot of leftists I know really fit that description. They talk about shooting people, they think about shooting people, and I guess they're just too inept and incapable of actually doing it, or they're too afraid of guns for whatever reason. But that's definitely been an experience I've had in the city. So that's just a anecdotal observation I've made in my experiences throughout the years.
Osis, for those who don't know, Osis is our San Francisco correspondent. So he's been in the thick of it. He knows the deepest part of the castle of evil here, and he brings up a great point. I think that we can see that happening in a lot of what they talk about. We all know they love to project. Everything they do is all about projection, right? When they talk about how, when it comes to anything from molesting women to diddling kids to stealing money, being corrupt, taking money from big corporations, guns. I think this is actually a great point. They are probably imagining that everyone else, and this isn't a problem that's unique to them. I also do this all the time. I suffer from this. We probably all suffer from something along this lines where we assume that everyone else kind of thinks like we do, right? I know I do that. And it's you can't really get out of that pattern. You assume that people know what you know. You assume that people kind of would act like you would act in a particular situation. So she's probably projecting the fact that she would love to just shoot everybody up, white people, and projecting it onto everybody else and assuming that everybody else also wants to shoot everyone all the time, which actually could be a great explanation for why the left is so anti-gun, because they think everyone is literally just on the edge of shooting people up all the time. It's a really great point, Osis, and definitely a thought-provoking comment. Let's see. Dari says, I watched a clip today that included the announcement of the Milky Way galaxy is racist. What? The naming of the Milky Way is racist? Oh, man. This is, it's hilarious. Anyway, let's see. There was, let me just show you here real quick. I do a quick diagnosis of this is the actual flyer that went out for this event. Now, they get credits, AMA, PRA, Category 1 credits for attending this talk, okay? So this is probably equivalent to, like, continuing educational talks. If you're in any professional field, you have to attend events and listen to professionals talk about something to get continuing education credits to, let people know that you still know what you're talking about in relation to a particular topic. Now, in the in the learning objectives, this is the learning objectives for this talk. At the conclusion of this activity, participants will be able to set up white people's absence of empathy towards black rage as a problem. Next one is understand how racism is part of the white mind that arose during colonialism with a series of lies around violence. Now, if it sounds like that didn't make any sense to you, it's because it didn't. Because I read it exactly how it's written, and the way it's written makes no sense. This clearly didn't get proofread. Understand how racism is part of the white mind that arose during colonialism with a series of lies around violence. No idea what that means. Clearly, she has communication issues and proofreading issues as well. But notice also, we see the same buzzwords over and over again. And they throw these buzzwords in because, number one, this is what their professors taught them in school. These colleges are just creating clones of each other, literally, like they make clones in Star Wars. Same exact thing, right? She can't think for herself. She throws out words like colonialism and thinking that's an argument or it means something. The next bullet point here says, understand how white people are psychologically dependent on black rage. So I've got a couple questions here. First of all, what is black rage? That sounds like maybe that needs to be diagnosed as a mental illness. Black rage. Anthony says, college is the imagination station. You know what? Bill Maher just went up to college, I think today or yesterday. I don't know when he does his show, but I saw a clip of him on YouTube. He was going up to college as well, and, Bill Maher's hit or miss, but I definitely agree with his assessment on college that it is a scam. This is what college creates. People who can't even write a coherent sentence, but they think they're super smart, and then they call everyone racist, and they think that means something, when in reality they're just the equivalent of little children running around spitting out big words that they heard the adults say. Dari says, so the universe is racist, so they can stop it now. Whitey supersedes everything. It's named after a goddess's breast milk. What? No idea. Let's see. There's a lot to unpack here. Yeah, exactly. Synergy. But let's go to the next section real quick. This says, under the needs assessment section, it says, everyone is talking about race right now, especially white people. And yet, white people seem to be losing it. The number of Karen and it's my right to not wear a mask videos are exploding. How do we understand this psychologically? So that was the impetus to her creating this talk, is the fact that there's an explosion of Karen videos and it's my right to not wear a mask videos. I don't see how that relates to racism at all, but she seems to be going on the offensive against white people. This doesn't seem like a defensive, like, whoa, hey, hold on, white people, like, this is why you shouldn't be doing this. It's, look at these stupid white people and their Karens, and look at all these videos that they're making about not wearing masks. How can we diagnose their mental illness? That's not like a defensive stance. That's an offensive attack on white people. She says, and this sentence right here isn't even professional at all. It sounds like some, sixth grade wrote it. And yet, white people seem to be losing it. This is a psychiatrist. She's a forensic psychiatrist and psychoanalyst. That's the best way she can frame that. Can't she say something like, white people appear to be experiencing a psychological delusion that of superiority over minorities, or something like, use some actual scientific language to show me that you're not just an idiot, because this does not make you sound intelligent. I mean, I could probably whip up some BS myself. I'm not even a psychologist. In 2 seconds, it would sound better. Dari says, black rage equals angry black women or the perception of BLM to manipulate other black people. Well, you know what? I would tend to agree with that. Black rage is probably... I play dumb, but I do agree with that black rage is just angry black women. That's because that's who really runs the black community in America today. Because contrary to popular belief, black men are the most feminized class of men in America. And that probably has something to do with the fact that they are unable to maintain families. Probably has something to do with the fact that they represent the largest percentage of single parents in America. And it probably has something to do with the stereotypes of incredibly masculine, loud-mouthed black women. And it probably has something to do with all the videos we were sharing over the past few weeks of those brawls we were showing in Miami, where they literally had to implement curfews in Miami because hordes of black people were brawling in the streets, mostly women, and they weren't paying their bills. They were leaving restaurants with $1,000 tabs, not paying it. Like, it was so bad, there was a state of emergency, and they had to implement curfews in the city. It's all related to the fact that black women are incredibly masculine and black men are incredibly feminine. And what do I tell you guys? Almost every stream, everything we're seeing in America, in politics and society, can be boiled down to the differentiation between masculinity and femininity. Never forget that, okay? Everything you see is either inherently masculine or feminine. We got comments here from Stereo piling up. Let's go. We got one from Osis.
So I did some research on this lady, and she had a page on the independentdoctorsofnewyork.org. Apparently, she graduated from the University of Chicago in, guess what? Critical theory. Very interesting.
Oh.
They've scrubbed the page, but if you look up her name and look for the idny.org URL, it's about 3 or 4 down in a Google search. You'll see where it talks about it, but they scrubbed her page because I guess this kind of led to a little bit of a poop storm. I'm very shocked and appalled.
There we go. Nice. See, we're doing research on the fly right here on the Weekly Narrative. That's how the viewers do it. You are involved in the creation of the show. We've already had multiple people give me sources of information here. And I did read that I thought she graduated from University of Columbia, but maybe she went to multiple schools. I think you go to multiple schools when you have a PhD, so that makes sense. But not shocking at all that they had to scrub that page because, yeah, they're probably getting some emails right now. Let's see. She should sue her school and get her money back. Use your words. Exactly, yeah. Let's see. We got another comment here from Paul.
Oh, I need to belatedly share a white pill. California, some crazy federal judge struck down the federal law which bans assault weapons in California, meaning they will be legal after federal stay of 30 days is lifted, but that could be on its way out. And that is categorically a good thing.
I saw that, and I saw people. I saw Bernie Sanders actually commented on Bernie Sanders' post in response to that. So for those who don't know, Paul's referring to the fact that a federal judge just shot down a assault weapons ban in California. Now, assault weapons are still banned, okay? Because the rational people, me and you, we all know what assault weapons are. Assault weapon is a fully automatic machine gun style weapon. I don't even want to use the word machine gun in that context because that's not really technically accurate. But a fully automatic, okay, that's what we're talking about when we say assault weapons. Those are not legal, still not legal. But what people like Bernie Sanders are talking about is AR-15s and the scary-looking guns, the military-style guns, which is exactly what his terminology was on his Twitter post in response to that. He says, "We cannot allow military-style weapons." And I basically just said, you know what? I'm glad we're all acknowledging that we're just admitting straight up that we only care about these because they look scary. Because functionality-wise, they're the same as hunting rifles. So the whole thing is really stupid. Really stupid. The left is going nuts over the ruling. I'm sure, yeah. And I'm sure there'll be a spree of massive shootings that'll happen as a result of that ban coming up. All right, let's move on to, we're about halfway through the show, actually, so let me shill myself real quick. If you guys don't know, I do have a private community at weeklynarrative.com. You can join the locals page there. For updates, if I get banned or whatever, you'll see me update there. And I'm thinking I'll probably throw up a private Telegram page on there. People have suggested it, and I think I finally have come around to it. I'm going to do a Telegram to keep in touch with you guys. So look for that on the locals page. A little incentive for you guys to go there. If you're listening on stereo, we are live streaming live on youtube.com/weeklynarrative, and vice versa. If you're on the YouTube, you want to leave a voice comment, you want to talk trash, that's my favorite, by the way. I'm a little disappointed about the lack of trash talk. If we could get some more trash talk, that'd be great. Stereo, app, follow at Weekly Narrative, and then drop me a hot comment. Let's see here, because that's the most fun. Honestly, you know, that's what I have the most fun with. So, moving on to our next story, or rather, this is a string of 2 stories in relation to Twitter. This is the climax of the night, folks. The climax topic, which I think is just great, hilarious. Jack Dorsey attended a Bitcoin event. I think it was yesterday, and he got heckled by none other than, oh man, what's her name? You guys know her name. The chick that got banned off of Twitter. She ran for like Congress or something like that. Laura Loomer. Yes, there we go. Oh, Osa says he's got a comment that he wants me to play. Okay, yeah. So hold on, let me play his comment, but then we'll get on to the next topic.
And just for my own curiosity, I looked into the University of Chicago, and they have a whole faculty based on critical theory, critical race theory,
nice.
decolonial studies,
Mm-hmm.
critical race studies, Marxism, psychoanalyst, political theory, theories on diaspora and decolonization. So this goes deep-rooted into academia. Not a surprise, obviously, but they're not hiding it. It's right out in the open.
So they used to have to hide it in other programs, right? Like we slide some of that in the gender studies, we slide it into the sociology, but now it's just straight up. They have their own departments, they have probably their own majors for that kind of stuff. It's not shocking at all. But how do you go as a high school graduate? How do you look at a list of majors and then actually rationalize picking a degree in critical race theory? Literally the only career you can get from that is being an HR person, and then being the Nazi that runs around and gives PowerPoint presentations about how to get rid of your implicit bias. That's literally the only position you can ever get with that job. But hey, there's probably a big demand for that right now. Thank you for that comment, Osis. You are correct. Yes. So back to the Twitter thing. Jack Dorsey was at an event, a Bitcoin event in Miami, I believe, and Laura Loomer heckled him in regards to the fact that he is censoring people, which he has been. Twitter's been censoring the heck out of everybody for the last 2 years. Okay, we all know that. That's not news. But now, the turntables. Those turntables. We got 2 stories for you tonight. One from Nigeria and one from India regarding countries banning Twitter. That's right. Twitter is being censored now, and I think this is just fantastic. Not because of the retributive aspect of this, but because I think this is actually vital to the survival of any modern society. So, from CNN.com, the most trusted news source, Nigeria bans Twitter after company deletes President Buhari's tweet. And I know what you guys are thinking. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Just ignore the gap in the teeth, okay? This guy is dead serious. Don't look at that. I know, just don't look at that. All right, from Abuja, Nigeria. Nigerian government says it has indefinitely suspended Twitter's operations in the country. The Minister of Information and Culture has announced in a statement on Friday, and I think the statement was made on Twitter. Anyway, the federal government has suspended indefinitely the operations of the microblogging and social networking service Twitter in Nigeria. It read. The statement, which was posted on the ministry's official Twitter handle, there you go, on Friday evening, accused the American social media company of allowing its platform to be used, quote, for activities that are capable of undermining Nigeria's corporate existence. Yes! Why is Nigeria the only country that gets this? I mean, they probably didn't care until the president's tweet got banned, and then he's probably just butthurt because he got his tweet censored or whatever. But still. Yeah, Synergy says Africa-based. Exactly. Put Stacey Abrams' gap to shame. We don't want to talk about Stacey Abrams' gap right now. Come on. Actually, you know what? It's funny. I just got a commercial. I don't know if it's because I live in Texas, but I get paid ads with Stacey Abrams on there now. Like, please, before you watch your video, we have to tell you about how Republicans are trying to censor voters. They're trying to suppress voters across this country, and it's urgent. Stacey, get off my screen. I don't care. We all know you're bullshit. We all know you're BSing. Come on. Anyway, some people pointed out the irony of announcing the ban on Twitter, with one person replying, Quote, "You're using Twitter to suspend Twitter. Are you not mad?" Yeah, it's a little nuts. I mean, come on, yeah. But it points out, the situation that we're in, that Twitter is an effective tool of communication. We can all acknowledge that. We can simultaneously, because we're adults with functioning critical thinking brains, we can have these two thoughts in our head at the same time. Twitter is very effective for communication, and Twitter is terrible because it censors people that disagree with them. Yeah, no, we both acknowledge that. I love using Twitter to consume information, but I also acknowledge that it is incredibly detrimental to society. Let's see. Somebody dropped a comment. Stereo Paul.
I forget it's not just banning Twitter. They're electing Adolf Hitler. True story.
I don't know about that, but I mean, well, there's some crazy stuff going on in Africa. So you might be asking yourself, what is this tweet that he got banned for? Was he talking about chopping people's heads off with a machete? Okay, that's a little racist. We're not saying that that's what they talk about on Twitter in Africa. But let's figure out what the tweet in question was. And here it is. Quote, "Many of those misbehaving today are too young to be aware of the destruction and loss of lives that occurred during the Nigerian Civil War. Those of us in the fields for 30 months who went through war will treat them in the language they understand." Buhari wrote in the now-deleted tweet, referring to the brutal 2-year Nigeria-Biafra war, which killed an estimated 1 to 3 million people, mostly from the Igbo tribe in the eastern part of the country between 1967 and 1970. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's bigger than any war that America's ever been in. 1 to 3 million people? Have 1 to 3 million Americans ever died in a war? So, I don't see what the content is here that's questionable. Many of those misbehaving today are too young to be aware of the destruction and loss of lives that occurred during the Nigerian Civil War. He's just pointing out the ignorance of the young people, which is apt. It should be pointed out. But apparently that was enough for Twitter to delete the post. The tweet was deleted Wednesday after many Nigerians flagged it to Twitter, and the platform said that it had violated its policy on abusive behavior. Who is that abusing? It's not abusing anybody. It's just seems to be an array of facts, historical facts, and I don't know. Anyway, Information Minister Lai Mohammed criticized Twitter's actions and accused the social media giant of double standards. Mohammed also questioned Twitter's motives in Nigeria, saying, quote, "The mission of Twitter in Nigeria is very, very suspect." The mission of Twitter in Nigeria is very, very suspect. That's probably more of how he said it. But this guy is dead on. Okay? Twitter is like a cancer. It affects your society. It amplifies the speed at which information and misinformation can transmit. And it slowly destroys your country from the inside out. Now, these guys have aptly noticed that, it's a little bit of a leap to also be deleting tweets of the leader of your country. You know that it's a bit of a misstep. Even with, you would figure that the leader of a country would get a little bit of leeway in what he's allowed to tweet. Not be under more criticism, be under stricter sets of rules, but that's not the case. So they have, they've said that that's it. We're blocking Twitter in Nigeria. And Twitter, ironically, responded with this. Quote, "Access to the free and open internet is an essential human right in modern society. We will work to restore access for all those in Nigeria who rely on Twitter to communicate and connect with the world." Hilarious. I mean, has anybody removed more access from human beings than Twitter to the internet, to communication? That's a genuine question. Has any company on planet Earth removed more access to communication than Twitter? Something to think about. And then here they are saying access to the free and open internet is an essential human right. Okay. Yeah, maybe if you believe all of the correct ideas, then it's a human right? That's how it works. Let's see. Abusive behavior equals someone's feelings got hurt. Yeah, I mean, that's probably it, man. That is probably the extent of the argument that they have. So the site is now inaccessible for Nigerians. Obviously, you can use a VPN to try to get around that, but people are fighting back. Our party notes, so lawyers and everything are on all over Twitter somehow because maybe they have VPNs. But anyway, they're going to try to fight back and get it reversed. And, they'll probably get it reversed. But the question also I have in closing on this article here is Twitter says they're going to work to restore access for those in Nigeria. Are they saying that they're going to supersede the government of the country to give access to people despite the fact that the leadership of the country has deemed it illegal or blocked it? Like, how does this... What's the relationship between Twitter and the leaders of countries? And we've seen it's a little bit of a tenuous relationship there because we've already seen them ban the leader of the free world, the most powerful man on planet Earth. They just banned him for literally no good reason because he was encouraging violence, which was not the case. We all know that was BS. And now here they are saying they're going to supersede the ruling of an entire country and say, we're going to work to restore access. Maybe, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, maybe they mean they're going to try to work with the guy, work with the leader, the president to work out a deal or something. But it sounds like they're going to try to supersede him. So, Steve with the $5 super chat. What's up, Steve? Glad to see you back, buddy. He says, "Rip Kamal Amin Qasem, you will be missed." And of course, now I have to do the obligatory Google search to figure out who that is. Let's see, Kamal Amin Qasem. Kamal Amin Qasem was an American voice actor, disc jockey, music historian, and radio personality who created and hosted several radio programs. He was the first actor to voice Shaggy in Scooby-Doo. And he died 7 years ago. Well, thank you for that, Steve. Appreciate that, as always. Those $5 super chats with the totally, completely relevant and timely rest in peace messages on those. I always appreciate that, buddy. Let's move on to the next story. This is from India, facing similar censorship for Twitter. And we need to see more of this. This is the narrative that I'm trying to spread for you guys. Okay, we need to start seeing countries standing up and saying, you know what? We understand the effects. I mean, how could you not, as a leader of a country in the third world, or maybe Twitter hasn't spread to it yet, how could you look at the state of America and see, do an assessment? I mean, you don't have to be a genius to assess the situation and do a root cause analysis of the problems. Okay, root cause analysis. This is something that we do in cybersecurity. We figure out what is the root cause of this problem that's happening. Louis clicked the wrong button on the keyboard. This guy downloaded a program. Or in this particular case, America allowed the unfettered usage of social media and probably subsidize it to a large degree as well, Twitter, Facebook, and whatnot. And now look at where they are. As a leader of a country, you see that. You would probably want to be cautious about that. And that's exactly what India has done. Now, if you guys aren't aware, India is probably one of the biggest markets for these platforms. So they want India. Okay, keep that in mind. I have to open this tab in an incognito window because apparently Bloomberg does not want me to read their articles without paying. Just quick little skirtaroo around that. No problem. Let's see. Let me change the window here. Please hold. Is that it? No, that's not it. There we go. India issues final warning to Twitter to comply with new rules. Okay. From June 5th. This is brand new. So I know what you're thinking. Oh, who cares? It's India. Okay, you got to realize these companies rely on the expansion of their product to new markets to maintain profitability. Okay, so this is a big deal for Twitter, Google, Facebook. And as they expand into new markets, they're going to have to comply with the rules in those countries. Or maybe in Twitter's case, maybe they're not. But from Bloomberg.com, the Indian government issued a final warning to Twitter Inc. to immediately comply with new rules for social media companies or face consequences under local laws. in an escalating dispute with the microblogging site. The new rules, which took effect in February, require intermediaries such as, and now this is fascinating, okay, so you're thinking to yourself, what kind of rules are we talking about? What are they possibly going to implement that's going to stem the spread of, the cancer? Well, here you go. The new rule requires intermediaries such as Twitter, Google, YouTube, and Facebook, and the WhatsApp messaging platform to assign and appoint representatives to redress grievances. Penalties, including jail terms, can be imposed if a company violates them. Interesting. So, this is the low maturity implementation of control on social media companies. We're starting to see this. We saw places like Florida, here in America, DeSantis passed laws saying that social media companies can't ban anybody running for office, and they'll face local violations there, local fines if they do. I don't know how that works. Okay, I don't understand if Twitter just has to say we're not going to do business in India, we're not going to do business in Florida, or if they have a totally separate set of rules for those places. But the good news is, folks, that we're starting to see controls imposed upon these social media platforms, which is exactly what needed to happen. Quote, the refusal to comply demonstrates Twitter's lack of commitment and efforts towards providing a safe experience for the people of India on its platform. Now, I love this because they're like out HRing Twitter. That's the most generic, stupid HR statement. The refusal to comply demonstrates the lack of commitment and effort towards providing a safe experience for the people of India. That's exactly what Twitter would say. And you know what's funny is they probably... How funny would it be if they just copied that from one of Twitter's responses? The refusal to comply with our guidelines demonstrates Trump's lack of commitment and effort towards providing a safe experience for the people of Twitter on its platform. By tweeting about the, January 6th, whatever. You could see them using the same argument. That's the point that I'm making here. They said they have one last notice to comply as a gesture of goodwill. A Twitter spokesperson in New Delhi declined to comment. So, that's what's going on. Twitter, India's got millions of people. Let's see. Holly says, root cause analysis was not revealed here about the cyber attack. Our meat plant was affected here. And Canada MSM talked all about firewalls and hackers. Oh, yeah. No, because that definitely had everything to do with the ransomware attack. It doesn't have anything to do with... Spoiler alert, it has nothing to do with firewalls. But I'm pretty sure the general public won't understand anything about cybersecurity that doesn't involve firewalls. Because when you say firewalls, people are like, whoa, okay. All right, this conversation is well out of my scope of understanding. But it makes it sound like you know what you're talking about. They breached the firewalls. Yeah. His dedications with the song request every Saturday. Beat Twitter to the punch. Exactly, Stalking Horse. That is exactly the case. They beat Twitter to the punch with the HR slap. Last month, police officers visited Twitter's New Delhi premises, vacated since March 2020 due to the pandemic, to deliver a notice and inquiry over posts by senior members of India's ruling party. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. They had tweeted out documents purporting to show opponents strategizing to exploit the coronavirus for political gain. Nice. Very nice. San Francisco-based Twitter labeled the post as, quote, synthetic and manipulated media amid rival Congress party allegations of them being forged. So there is a backstory to this, and I'm not completely up to date on it, but I do know that Twitter has been messing with India's officials and their tweets for a while now. So I think all these controls are in response to that. What would be the logical response to that anyway? You see people messing with the leadership of your country. Nigeria says we can tell you're trying to undermine our leadership. You're trying to undermine our country. India basically says the same thing. They start to impose rules. Twitter is overstepping their bounds. And, is their role as the communication, the public square, is their role as the public square powerful enough to supersede the authority of entire countries? That is the question that will be answered in the coming months as we look at the result of these stories. Too much power, says Dari. Yeah, I think that's it, man. Too much power. We had a comment come in during that from Paul. Let's see if it's still relevant.
I forget it's not just banning Twitter. They're electing Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, no, we already got that one. Okay. So that's fascinating, and hopefully this is the start of a whole new movement of curbing the power of these companies. But probably just a pipe dream. Well, oh man, I think I probably should have lined this one up after the previous article about racism, but this is equally hilarious. Kind of bouncing back and forth between topics here today, but you know what? Deal with it, because linear trains of thought are white supremacy. So you need to get out of the pattern of expecting linear trains of thought, okay? We're doing random trains of thought here. Back to the racism stuff. This is one that I just had to share with you guys. From thenation.com. No, I'm not going to sign up. Thanks, though. The great outdoors was made for white people. Yeah, that's right, folks. The outdoors. The great outdoors. That we made. It was made. It wasn't just there. It was made for white people. As summer beckons, let's think about how to create more inclusive outdoor spaces. At the end of the day, when you guys are, falling asleep, at least you can have the comfort of knowing that you're not so mentally ill or retarded that you are genuinely writing articles about how the great outdoors is white supremacy, okay? Just go to sleep with that comfort. Let's see what they have to say here. How is the great outdoors racist or made for white people? After social distancing protocols forced countless Americans into indoor isolation for the winter, many of us are eager to run into the warm embrace of Mother Nature and the outdoors with gusto. Nice word. While the pandemic has exposed structural inequities in everything from healthcare to education to housing, yes, that's exactly what the pandemic did. It exposed structural inequities in everything. Oh, this is great. Less remarked upon has been the institution of the great outdoors. Guys, the great outdoors is an institution. It's the first time hearing of this, but hey. And unlike most American institutions, outdoor space, and, crucially, access to it, has been socially and physically constructed by white supremacy and settler colonialism. I mean, I don't have any counter-arguments to that. Like most American institutions, yes, most American institutions are socially and physically constructed by white supremacy. Yeah, totally. Those colleges that are pumping out people that hate white people, totally white supremacist. Those media companies, the media institutions and newspapers that are pumping out articles about how everything's white supremacist, totally. No, they are definitely white supremacist. Man, this is hilarious. Hills are racist. Yeah, hills are racist. Paint can rentals on the trailhead, tag a trail campaign. There you go. Good idea. And that's how we can get some inclusivity into the outdoors, is just put graffiti on stuff. That'll get the black community involved, the minority communities involved. In his 1869 book, The Switzerland of America, A Summer Vacation in the Parks and Mountains of Colorado, journalist Samuel Bowles wrote that within the beautiful U.S. outdoors, quote, lies the pleasure ground and the health home of the nation. When European colonists first set eyes on North America, they considered it underdeveloped, ripe for instrumentalization, never mind that it was hardly uninhabited. So you can see where this is going, right? It was hardly uninhabited. Square footage wise, it was uninhabited, let's be honest. Compared to where we are now, yeah, no, it was definitely uninhabited. Like 99% uninhabited. Synergy says it's all so tiresome. Imagine how tired they are, dude. I mean, when you can't even think for yourself and you just have to keep repeating words like colonialism and white supremacy over and over again. Talk about tiresome. That has got to be tiresome. The great outdoors, quote unquote, was constructed as a place to go to escape the stress of modern life, to be more in touch with nature. We like to think of the great outdoors that this country has cultivated national parks, campgrounds, and nature preserves as a representative of our democratic ideals. They are for everyone. But this belies their origin. Ooh, scary. Through military and legislative intervention, such as the Mariposa Battalion's violent raid of the village of Awanichi in 1851, which expelled the remaining indigenous people from the Yosemite. These places were cultivated primarily for white people. Early conservationists like Bowles or John Muir or Madison Grant were not shy in advocating racial exclusivity. When they spoke of the importance of nature for our nation, they meant the white nation. Jesus Christ. This is Europhobic right here. This is the Europhobia again, see? Now we're seeing multiple iterations of this mental illness come out, and this is a manifestation of Europhobia in relation to the outdoors. And I mean, if you're calling the outdoors racist, you can how low do you have to go to be calling the outdoors racist? Is there not a more critical problem facing the black community that they can focus their energy on? I mean, how much time did it take to write this article? A few hours, maybe a weekend, and then you had to proofread it, you had to edit it. That's a lot of energy and time and resources spent on the problem of the outdoors being racist. Is there not a more critical problem that they could be addressing? Or are we really at this place where we now have to address the fact that the great outdoors are racist because it's a real, actual, functional problem for them? I mean, come on. Come on. Caitlin says the outdoors have been free for all forever. COVID didn't stop you from being outside. You allowed COVID to keep you inside. Ridiculous argument. Yes, exactly. So I've had the privilege of having a family. My parents love to do a lot of traveling. We always go on vacations every year. And, any outdoor thing in the Southwest, you name it, probably I've gone to it. In Arizona and the desert and whatnot around there, I've gone to it. Okay, I've been to all of it, and I'm talking like probably 100 parks. I have never once seen any signs in a national park that said no blacks allowed. Now here's the bigger question, and I think I'll try to diagnose what's happening here, because I think we can actually all agree on one thing: that black people don't get outside as much. Can we all agree on that? Now, as far as the cause, maybe that has yet to be determined. Now, we can see where this person tried to go with it, but the fact that they don't provide any alternatives, any potential alternatives for why the black people don't go outside as much, is actually evidence of the fact that they're obviously trying to either lie, or they're just using this as a weapon. They're weaponizing this narrative, because when you're trying to solve a problem, you present multiple solutions, potential solutions, and you evaluate them as based on their merits. Do you think that this author put a corkboard up when you're writing an article? Maybe you brainstorm ideas. She's trying to figure out, why don't black people go outside? So she has one sticky note that says white supremacy. And then she has another sticky note that says culture. And then she has another sticky note that says who knows what, some other reason, right? And then she evaluated the efficacy of all those ideas and then came to the conclusion rationally that white supremacy was the reason why. We all know that she didn't. She skipped all the other potential possibilities and jumped right to this. I'm giving her way too much credit. You guys know me. Come on, I'm trying to be fair. But in reality, there probably is an explanation for this. So let's not completely waste our time reading this. We can at least address the problem. Maybe she'll watch this stream and we can help her out. We can give her a lesson in critical thinking and try to evaluate why black people don't participate in the outdoors as much. Holly in chat says, Weinstein talked about a lady who felt oppressed hiking in Portland because she was the only BIPOC woman on the trail. Yep. Those who stayed indoors during lockdowns failed. I mean, last summer was beautiful and I grew a garden. UV light kills most viruses. Safest place to be. So, okay, there we go. There's one potential solution to this question right there. Thank you, Holly. UV light kills most viruses. It's the safest place to be. How well communicated? Because the author did cite COVID as one of the reasons. For the white supremacy kept black people from going out into the outdoors. How well communicated was it that the best possible place to be for COVID was outside. Was CNN telling you that? Was MSNBC telling you that? And then follow-up question to that. What media outlets do black people tend to watch? Is it also the media outlets that don't tell you that being outside is the proper place to be? Okay, so there we go. Within the span of 1 minute, 60 seconds, with critical thinking, we have presented a efficacious potential solution to this problem. But, of course, it just so happens to not align with the author's politics, because she probably also watches CNN, so we can't present that, right? But I think we can run with that. Let's see, Paul's got a comment.
Jeremy, when you talk about the struggle of these people trying to write stories, go to YouTube, type in Vice News Story Dildo. You are welcome.
Oh, yep. No, I've seen that. The Ryan Long one? Yes, sir. No, I get the idea is that Paul's mentioning the fact that these authors sit in a room and they just randomly generate story titles by, to keep it family safe here, by throwing darts at a board, let's say that. They throw a dart, they say basketball, they hit a dart, they hit the word basketball, or no, they pull out cards, random cards. They pull out a card that says noun, and then another card says is racist, or is white supremacist, or there's not enough representation in football, something like that. This is basically one of those articles. Anthony says hiking does seem to be exclusively Caucasian. Yes, it does. And that is I've been outdoors quite a bit in the last couple of years, and, I think we can all acknowledge that there tends to be a trend. So we've got one potential explanation that we've already presented. The one that I would give is a cultural one. And the reason that they don't ever want to talk about the cultural effects of Black American culture is because that would open up the possibility that you could attribute some of the negatives about blacks to that as well. So black culture could also be responsible for, I don't know, hating cops, fighting back against cops, resisting arrest, making a bunch of music about shooting people, killing cops, and stuff like that. Black culture doesn't really, it's got a lot of, let's just say it's got a lot of vulnerabilities to it. And, but this, it's a completely reasonable argument to say that certain cultures just don't appreciate certain things like other cultures do. And I think the outdoors is one of those things. Is it a grand scheme of white supremacy of people who, white people are sitting around a table, a dimly lit table, and thinking to themselves, oh, you know what? I was at Yosemite last year, and I was trying to enjoy the geysers. Or maybe I'm thinking of a different park because there's no geysers there. But anyway, there was a black guy there, and it ruined my day. How can we stop the black people from getting in the parks? Do you think that's what's happening? You think these people are sitting around scheming how to get black people out? So we all know there's no controls in place right now for black people to stop. There's nothing. If a black person goes to a park, he's not going to get turned away. So the idea that these people are trying to present is one of what? Of course, they're going to use at every possible chance. It's history. Something that happened 200 years ago. She's literally citing something that happened in 1851. She uses as one citation. She uses another one from an 1869 book as another citation. And this is the inescapable nature. This is the black hole. I'm not sharing this story with you to say, oh, look how stupid these people are. Look how funny this is. It's to show you the trend, to get you to recognize the trend in the attack that they're using and the strategy that they're using so that you can recognize it everywhere else. Because what they're doing is referencing historical artifacts that have no effect on people today. Okay, there are very slight residual effects that persist through time. That is absolutely true. But nothing so strong that it would prevent a black person from going outside if he wanted to. So the question is, why doesn't he want to? And they will use this for everything. Something happened 300 years ago. Therefore, today, we need to do X. And the problem with that is, number one, it's effective because it really hits on your emotions, right? Like, oh man, slavery and indigenous people were murdered and genocide and all that. All these really highly emotional terms and phrases that they use to really trigger your emotional sections of your brain. It works. And, of course, as we're in a hyper-feminized society, of course, those emotional arguments work very well. But they're going to keep using that for everything. That's the point I'm trying to make here. That's because work ethic is Protestant, says Synergy. Yeah, well, we all saw the documents that came out in the last year or two about all the things that are really white supremacist, like individualism, rugged individualism. Actually, they specifically use the term rugged individualism, which does kind of reference the fact that you would be like homesteading. Maybe that has something to do with it. They just hate homesteading and like getting out into nature and having to survive on your own. Maybe that, see, now we're on to something. They hate the idea of being independent. And part of being independent in this world is interacting with nature, because you have to fight for your own food, you have to hike, you have to do, go over terrain, things like that. Now, the question is, why would they be so hateful against independence? Well, because it just so happens that all these people are also Marxists, and they want you completely dependent on the government. Is that a coincidence? What are the odds that if we asked the author of this article, Maria T. Matshali, her political views, do you think she's a conservative who advocates for smaller government and libertarianism? Or do you think she wants to have reparations and increase tax rates and have universal health care and bigger government all around? I would venture a guess. I would just throw out a random guess that she's for bigger government. And I think another angle that you could take on this is that, they are taking every possible chance to point out the fact that anything that even is related slightly to survival away from the government, which includes living outdoors, is evil and therefore white supremacist. Anthony says exploration is like racist. Yep, that's right. JC Steck says, damn it, they figured us out. Who white supremes? Yep, no, they did. They got us, man. Tents are racist. Dari says, we live in an individualistic country. There are black people that like things mostly white, as with the opposite. Black people like things... Yep. There's no white people writing articles about how there's not enough white people in rap. Right? Part of being an adult is acknowledging that there's no such thing as 100% equality and fairness across the board. You're never going to get to a state where life is a spreadsheet and the exact representation of every single thing in society and in the planet is exactly equal to the representation of that race in society. These people think that's possible. So that's how you know they're not serious. They should never be taken seriously because they think that spreadsheet world is possible. And that's exactly what they want. If there's not exactly 13.2% representation of black people at the campground, at every campground on planet Earth, then there's racism in the outdoors. That's their argument. Synergy says, let's not be coy, they want gulags. Yeah, man, of course. We all know that. We all know they want gulags. We're just having fun on the decline. We're having fun on the way down. Don't ruin my fun, man. Come on. She'll be making steel out of walks in the backyard. Forget soon enough. Steel walks in the backyard? I don't get that one. Holly. Dari says, what are Democrats going to do when Latinos take all the low-level black jobs? See, they don't have the ability to think that far ahead. So when all these immigrants come in and take all of the black jobs, which, ironically, one of the arguments in this article was that black people don't make enough money. Again, if you care about black people not making enough money, then you would advocate for the discontinuation of mass migration into this country, because guess who gets hurt the most by the importation of mass cheap labor? It's the lower income communities like the black people in the inner cities who are going to be suffering as they lose out the job markets. But I don't see that as an explanation of a solution in her article, so we have to assume that she doesn't care, because there's no way she's not aware. We know she's aware, but she's weaponized the article because We don't care about the black people so much as we don't care about the black people as much as we care about putting the white people in gulags. That's really what it is. Doug Master says, "What's up, Jeremy? Getting in super late. Hey, you know what, Doug? You showed up, and that's all that counts. You know, I'm glad to see you here, buddy." Stalking Horse says, reference to Chinese steel making in the 60s. Oh, okay. See, maybe Holly is... Oh, Forge. Autocorrect. Okay, let me try to reread that. Should be making steel walks out of backyard. Forge soon enough. Yes, that makes more sense. Should be making steel out of backyard forge soon enough. Let's see. Dari says they want that voting block. Statistically, by the year 2050, 1/3 of the country will be Latino. Yep. Regardless of the distribution of the minorities, white people will no longer be the majority, which is what they want. Literally, they cannot plan for the future better than a squirrel. Yes, that is a major problem, Synergy. We talk about that all the time. You know, the inability to delay gratification, the inability to plan for the future. That's something that white people, Europeans, are specifically good at because we had to deal with the winters of the northern European regions, whereas Africans did not have to ever deal with winters. So inherently, just by the fact that we had to evolve over time, these people do believe in evolution, right? I mean, they're not science deniers, are they? So they would tend to believe with that, I think, or agree with that. Holly says, although we are reaching herd immunity here, we are extending the gulag entry hotels because of variants. Once you get to the gulag points, they don't go back. Yeah, the whole hotel thing with Canada is very strange, and I'm not 100% aware of the situation with how that's working, but as far as I know, if you travel outside the country, you have to go to a gulag hotel for 2 weeks on your own dime. Is that correct, Holly? Before you're allowed to get back into the country. It's a little scary. No, Delaney didn't get sent to the gulag. She's had to deal with some personal stuff today, so going solo. Not yet. Yeah, didn't get sent to the gulag yet. Keyword yet. Delaney and I will definitely be first in line to the gulags when it happens. Okay. Let's go to the final story of the night. This is actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it could be directly related to this story. Although at first glance, you would seem that it's not. So, I'll leave it to you guys to make the connection in your head. Okay? This is funny. I had no idea this was even potentially related. This is also an explanation for why black people may not go out into the outdoors as much. So, the title of this article is completely unrelated, but yet 100% related. Let me switch over windows here. Where is it? Come on. FDA approves obesity drug that help people cut weight 15%. That's right, folks. We got a new obesity drug. And it didn't ring in my head until I reread this article. I didn't plan this out this way. But, yeah, now that you think about it, you know black people are super obese, right? You know who doesn't go outdoors very often? Obese people. So there you go. Yet another explanation for why the black people don't go outside. So we had 3 legitimate explanations, rational explanations, for why black people don't go outdoors as much as white people. That doesn't involve any kind of europhobia or other mental illnesses. Culture being one. Obesity being a pretty big one, pun intended. And culture. Wait. Culture, obesity, and what was the first one? I forgot what the first one was. Anyway, you get the point. Black people are fat. That's what I'm trying to say, okay? So, this is from the AP. FDA approves obesity drug that could help people cut weight 15%. This is from a day ago. This is a new drug called Wegovy. Who knows? Regulators on Friday said a new version of a popular diabetes medicine could be sold as a weight loss drug in the United States. The Food and Drug Administration approved Wegovy, a higher dose version of Novo Nordisk's diabetes drug semaglutide for long-term weight management. How is that a sentence? They approved Wegovy, a higher dose version of Novo Nordisk's diabetes drug semaglutide. I wouldn't put any of that in my body. Why would you ever think that putting something called Novo Nordisk semaglutide in your body is a good thing? But hey, I mean, if you're 400 pounds, you're probably not too concerned with what's going in your body anyway, so I guess that kind of settles that argument. In company-funded studies, participants taking Wegovy had an average weight loss of 15%, about 34 pounds. As I drink my calorie-free Dr. Pepper, zero sugar, participants lost weight steadily for 14 months before plateauing. In a comparison group getting dummy shots, the average weight loss was about 2.5% or just under 6 pounds. Quote, with existing drugs, you're going to get maybe 5 to 10% weight reduction, sometimes not even that, says Dr. Harold Bays, medical director, Louisville Metabolistic and Atherosclerosis Research Center. The narrative here, I don't care about this drug. I don't care about this particular drug. The narrative is people are fat, okay? And all of a sudden, as we're on the way out of a pandemic that literally only kills fat and old people, we magically get a drug that reduces weight. This is directly related to the story we talked about on the last stream. Who is making absolute bank and getting away with robbing? Well, not robbing. I mean, it is a legal transaction, but making an absolute ton of money off of not only the pandemic, but the despair and the despotic, terrible state of our society, Big Pharma. And now Big Pharma's got another tool, another product that they can sell you to lose weight. Now, in the U.S., as the article points out, more than 100 million adults, 1 in 3, are obese. 1 in 3 are obese. But just totally forget about that fact in relation to talking about COVID deaths. We don't ever want to bring that up with COVID deaths. Still, to this day, not a single person has ever said, 2 years into this, or a year and a half into this, nobody's ever said, hey, if you don't want to die to COVID, just lose weight. Haven't heard that. But now we get a drug that helps you lose weight by 15%. So is this really going to help you cut weight by 15%? Or is it going to help you eat 15% more? Let's be realistic. What's actually going to happen here? They get on our Govy. Oh, nice. Yeah, Wegovy. They get obese, and then they get on our Govy. Oh, that's a good one. Good one, Osis. Yeah, these fat people, by the way, probably they're all voting for universal health care so that I pay for their doctor bills. I'm going to pay for this shot, which, by the way, you might be asking, well, Jeremy, how expensive is it? I might want to get on this. The Danish company hasn't disclosed Wegovy's price, but said it will be similar to the price of its Saxenda, a weight loss drug. Saxenda? I don't know how you pronounce it. A weight loss drug injected daily that is now typically costs more than $1,300 per month without insurance. So somebody's going to be making some money. Okay, so wait. Isn't that against the body positive movement? Fat shaming, this is Holly. Yeah. No, but I mean, just acknowledging the fact that 100 million people in America is fat shaming. You can't talk about it because it's not body positive. Stalking Horse says the Fauci pick went away. Was there a Fauci pick up there? Yeah, sorry, I don't want to put a Fauci pick on you guys. Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah, there he is. Speaking of Fauci, we might get into that. Douglas Masters says, I saw a story within the last month that they're pushing to hire and get more black people into national parks. They claim that they feel uncomfortable there because too many whites and more racism. Well, it's because they're fat. Maybe if we mass distribute Wegovy, we can get the black people back to a weight that they can get outside. See, do you like how I linked those two articles together? You like that? Did you like that? That delayed segue. It's coming out every day. Trump was right on a lot of things, which is why the inside the Beltway crowd wanted him out so bad. Well, that's a great point, Dari. And, we haven't really talked about Trump at all since he left office. But the one thing that I will say, every day he's gone, every day that Biden is in office, Trump looks better and better. Okay? I will say that. Write those scripts, baby. Biggest drug dealers on the planet. That's right, man. That is right. Caitlin says, what happens when they get off Wegovy? Oh, I see. Okay. Osis was responding to Caitlin. So here's the joke. This is the setup and the punchline. I'm sorry I butchered it previously. Caitlin asks, what happens when they get off Wee Govy? Osis says, they get on our Govy. Yeah, well, actually, Caitlin, I haven't answered your question. It's right down here. So, shortly after, this is in relation to Philander. That name, oh, come on, that name has just got to be the simulation laughing at us. The person's name is Philander. Joined a patient study after cycles of losing and then regaining weight. She said she received Wee Govy, worked out several times a week, and lost 65 pounds over 16 months. Quote, it helped curb my appetite and helped me feel full faster. It got me on the right track. Shortly after she finished the study, shortly after she finished the study and stopped receiving Wee Govy, she regained about half the weight. So there you go. She's since lost much of that, starting exercise classes and bought some home exercise equipment. She's considering going back on Wee Govy after it's approved. So, just to give you an idea, the actual pharmacological action here is Wee Govy is a synthesized version of a gut hormone that curbs appetite. So that's how this actually works, in case you're wondering. I thought that was actually pretty interesting, and I think that there is a potential future for this kind of stuff. But, I mean, I think we're just kind of enabling fat people with all these weight loss drugs. And you also have to consider the side effects. Let's take a look at those. That's going to be good. Let's see here. Here we go. Wee Govy appears far safer than the earlier obesity drugs that have gone down in flames over safety problems. Yeah, I bet. Wee Govy's most common side effect were gastrointestinal problems, including nausea, diarrhea, and vomiting. That's fun. Those usually subsided, but led about 5% of the study participants to stop taking it. The drug also carries a potential risk for a type of thyroid tumor, so it shouldn't be taken by people who have a personal family history of certain thyroid or endocrine tumors. Wee Govy also has a risk of depression and pancreas inflammation. Sweet. I've always wanted pancreas inflammation. So there you go. Yeah, that's pretty terrible. It's coming to a CNN commercial near you. You're gonna get it. You're gonna watch Don Lemon talk to you about how you're a racist, and then cut directly to a commercial. Do you or someone you know, are you or someone you know super fat, totally obese, and can't go outside, but you blame it on racism? Well, we've got a drug for you. It's called Wee Govy, and side effects may include all those. Diarrhea and vomiting will help you lose weight. Maybe that's the actual method of action. It's just imposing diarrhea on you, and then, I mean, you're right, that will help you lose weight. Let's see. Maybe since they're too fat, they know they won't be able to outrun the bears, and they're afraid to get eaten alive. I think that's actually another big part of it, Doug. I think that black people have like a greater fear of wildlife than white people do. As strange as that sounds, I think that that's actually the case. Best to stay out of the woods, homies. Yeah, I know. As ridiculous as that may sound, I think that is actually a legitimate contributing factor. Let's see. Bears are quick. Yeah, no. It's all just lies and attention seeking. You know, she doesn't have any eating disorder that stops her from eating. Well, here's the thing about this. She talks about how she's going to be exercising and stuff. This is what people don't understand, and this is how bad the education system is in America. And I was actually just having a conversation about this with one of my friends. Shout out to Corey. We were talking about how nutrition is not that complicated. You have to know about calories, energy, basic calories in, calories out. That gets kind of dumped on as like, the calories in, calories out. That's all. That really is all you need to know to lose weight. But look at how she tries to say she's going to lose weight. She says she's going to start exercise classes. She bought home exercise equipment, and she's considering going back on the drug. She says nothing about changing her diet, which is the number one factor in being obese, is what you eat. Okay, contrary to popular belief, the human race has not figured out a way to violate Newton's third law of physics and create mass out of thin air. Okay, mass comes from somewhere. Other mass is, turned into other types of mass, or if your body can somehow convert energy into mass, well, then you're probably going to win a Nobel Prize, and you should let us know how you do that. But it's not possible to create fat out of thin air. You have to eat it, okay? But she mentions nothing. So the problem is they're going to take this drug as a replacement for doing the real solution, which is just eating less. So there's, that's, despite the fact that we're going to have this potential miracle drug that'll help you cut weight by 15% and just make you have diarrhea all day, we still have not advanced to the point of understanding what actually causes obesity, with 100 million adults in America being obese. Now, when you consider how many are overweight, okay, this is just obese. Obese is a high class of overweight. I think it's probably closer to like 2 out of 3 are overweight, or maybe even higher than that. 70%, 80%, somewhere around there. Let's see. You guys are talking about the Lay's chip Olestra diet craze. Yeah, I think that was the point of that, was to induce diarrhea or something like that. Doug says you have to read this part faster, like the drug commercials on TV. Let me see. I'll give it a shot here. Side effects include gastrointestinal problems, nausea, diarrhea, and vomiting. In most patients, it's usually subsided within about 5% of participants stop taking it. Drug carries a potential risk for type of thyroid tumor, so it shouldn't be taken by the people with personal or family history of certain thyroid and endocrine tumors. I have to give it a little bit of practice, but I think I could do it after some warm-up. Abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym. Yes. Ding, ding, ding. You nailed it, Kaylin. That is correct. Too much food mass turns into a big ass. Nice one, Doug. Eating less, burning more calories. Don't get me wrong, exercise is good. It can balance out the denominator, okay? The denominator meaning your baseline level of calories that you can intake in a day. Standard for most average humans, which is probably extra large. It used to be 2,000. It's probably like 4,000 now. But so if you exercise, you do 200 calories worth of exercise a day. That ups your denominator to 4,200 calories if you want to maintain. So anyway, this isn't a diet nutrition stream. I just wanted to point out we're getting to the idiocracy levels, where it was like, okay, guys, we just got through a pandemic that literally only kills fat people, but we're not going to tell them how to lose weight. But you know what we do have? A drug that you can buy for $1,300 a month to help you lose weight. On top of, on your way to the monthly vaccination updates that you'll have to get, you can just get the Wegovy. Maybe you can do it a 2-in-1. Can we get like a vaccination and a Wegovy together so that I can get a vaccination for COVID and then lose some weight at the same time? Let's just simplify it, right? Let's just do a drive-through. You know what? And why not, while we're at it, just put a McDonald's there at the same time. I go up to McDonald's, I order a hamburger, I get my shot, I get my Wegovy. I'm good for a month. That is the level of idiocracy that we're at with them in America. I feel like the absurdity is getting to record levels. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Phil C says, I lost about 15 pounds by just cutting out sugars and drinking lots of water. That's actually a big thing too, drinking lots of water, yeah. But sugar is poison. Just want to say that. I'm probably going to get canceled now. I've gone after Big Pharma. Now I'm going after sugar. There's no easy way to get canceled. But hey, you know what? I do love Dr. Pepper. Don't cancel me. Sugar is poison though. High fructose corn syrup, it's good for you. No. Yeah. Big Mac and the jab. Come on, man. Let me just get it all in one place. Can I get an Amazon delivery, 1-day shipping of Wegovy, a vaccination, and a hamburger? Because I don't even want to leave my house, honestly. Leaving the house is a lot of work. That's where we're getting to, folks. It's absurd. And I think that was actually all I wanted to talk about today. 80% of the products you buy have some form of fructose in it. Yeah. Well, see, it's way too much work for people to actually look at the labels on things and look at the ingredients. And that's a big problem. We see the result of that right now. 100 million people are obese. It takes work to get obese, okay? It's a lot of work. You don't just become obese organically by not trying. You have to eat a massive amount of calories to get to that place. And, we're not even doing the bare minimum level of nutrition. And again, I have to bring up COVID to piss off all the people that don't like me talking about COVID, but that is the main reason why we saw so many deaths in America. People say, oh, we got to figure out why the death rate was disproportional in America. Why do we suffer so much compared to these other countries? It was all Trump's fault. It was our response. No, it wasn't our response. It wasn't the fact that Trump was slow. It wasn't anything political. It's because of the fatties, people. The fatties. And this is an indication that we have not acknowledged that problem, but yet are implementing another Band-Aid to try and solve it. This is what American society has become. We're no longer innovating. We're no longer becoming better versions of ourselves. We are stacking Band-Aids upon Band-Aids upon Band-Aids until eventually, guess what happens when that first layer of Band-Aid comes off? They're all gone. Catastrophic disaster. Zombie apocalypse. Please, zombie apocalypse. Yes, and I think that's about it for today's. Oh, well, I got a couple comments here. Holly says I have Hashimoto's disorder, hypothyroidism. Hey, you know what? I actually also have hypothyroid to some degree myself, Holly. So I understand the struggle there. I don't have Hashimoto's, but I do have an underactive thyroid. That's all. I have to watch caloric intake. It's not that hard to stay at a healthy weight, but it does take discipline. Yes. See, well, this is the great part about that is I used to be about. I think my heaviest was when I was just playing computer games all day and eating Lay's Flamin' Hots and drinking actual Cokes with sugar in them, like 4 a day. I got up to about 240 pounds, which is, I mean, when you're 6'3", I didn't look that bad, but I was hefty. I was a hefty boy, okay? And you know what I did? I looked at myself and I said, wow, I'm fat. What can I do to change this? Because I don't want to be fat anymore. And immediately stop drinking sugar, drinking calories. Don't drink calories. This is why I drink the diet. There's no calories in this. I cut out sugar. I cut out soda for like several years. I didn't drink a single soda. Just cold turkey. Not it's so hard. I can't stop drinking soda. No, none of that. Just cold turkey. Okay, well I have to cut out. I'm not gonna drink soda. Next day, never drank a soda again for like 3 years. Period. But people don't have that discipline. They don't have that level of agency over themselves. This kind of goes back to the what we see in politics. You know, if somebody doesn't have the ability to have that level of agency over their life, where they can't even make a simple change, like stopping to drink soda to not be fat, how can they be expected to make political decisions for other people? They don't have the agency, the willpower to do that kind of stuff. Are they even really a human being? Are they thinking for themselves? Are they living? Are they reacting to new stimulus, new information, or are they just simply existing like a vegetable and reacting to stimulation? If I poured a Coke into a pepper plant or something like that every day, it has no ability to stop that. These people would have you believe that they're at the same level of will over their own lives. They have no power to stop. I can't stop drinking the Cokes. And that's you have to acknowledge that 350 million people voting in America, and a lot of them are at that level of willpower and agency over their own lives. So keep that in mind as you get ready for your wee gubby shot and you go ready to go vote. Oh, man, I managed to go 2 hours straight by myself today. I really appreciate all the comments and interaction. You guys definitely make it easier for me with that, but we managed to go the distance. We got 2 hours under the belt, and I'm sick. So you know what? I'm glad you guys were here. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. We had some interesting topics. We will be back on Tuesday. If you're not aware, we do this every Tuesday and Saturday, 7 p.m. PST on stereo and youtube.com/weeklynarrative until we get banned. I'm sure Susan Wojcicki over at YouTube is not going to appreciate the fact that we're talking about obese people. She might strike this video for that, but you know what? We just got to deal with it. The backup channel is at weeklynarrative.com. That's my locals page. Sign up there. I will be posting a Telegram channel there, so you guys can hang out in the Telegram. We can chat, share stories, whatever. Hang out. And that's it, guys. I have to remind you guys to get real with yourself. And don't eat high fructose corn syrup, okay? I'll see you on Tuesday. Thanks for stopping by. This is Jeremy from the Weekly Narrative. I'm out of here. I'm going to go drink some more Dr. Pepper.